Hey guys, and welcome back to some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Today I want to present you another interesting deck that I came up with. It's not a Stardust deck, it's not a Red Archfiend deck, but it's a combination of both. And the reason why is because both of them have decent cards that can actually work together pretty well. So as you can see, I have a Stardust Spark Dragon, which pretty much is the better and best version of the Stardust Dragons that you can get right now, excluding the Assault mode if you can actually get it in Duel Links. But this is the better one because the normal Stardust Dragon only has an effect that can sends itself to banish itself to negate an activation, but this one you can activate its effect to basically have it become immune to battle or card effects during your turn and during your opponent's turn, and etc. and so on, and without even having to discard another card or tribute another card on the field. And of course we have Dragon Archfiend, which is a top-notch heavy hitter. We have the Red Rising Dragon that's super useful in helping us summoning the Red Dragon Archfiend, and I'll explain to you guys how. We also have a Stardust Charge Warrior. We have a Gigantic Castle just in case I happen to have on my field. I don't have the required levels to synchro summon one of my two dragons, but I go a bit beyond so I can have something to synchro summon with enough power to beat my opponents. And we also have a Samurai Destroyer who is pretty good. It can cancel your opponent's effects monsters and yeah, so basically if you destroy a monster it doesn't activate its effects. And it has 2600 attack, which is more than enough to overcome most general level 6, level 7 monsters. So in my deck, what I use primarily to get my combos going is these two Resonator monsters, but more importantly the Red Resonator. The Red Resonator is such a damn good tuner monster. I sincerely recommend you have this one in your deck with any sorts of decks you need required to use a tuner if you want to play synchro summons. Why? Because you can normal summon it, and when you normal summon it, you can special summon one level 4 lower monster from your hand. When discarded special summon, you can target one face-up monster on the field and you gain LP equal to its attack. And also it has its own support cards because it's a part of the Resonator archetype. It has a lot of support cards for it. It also works really good with Red Rising Dragon because the main combo is you get this on the field, you get a level 4 on the field, you synchro into Red Rising Dragon, you activate Red Rising Dragon's effect, and you special summon a tuner back from the graveyard on the field, activate Red Resonator's special effect to use select the face-up monster and get LP from its attack, then you synchro again into Red Dragon Archfiend. But what makes this combo even more deadlier, if you have a bit of luck on your side, instead of luck I choose to use Destiny Draw, you can also place a resonant destruction on the field before you start your combo. And what does this do? Well, basically each time a resonator monster is sent from the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy that target. It lasts two phases. It gets destroyed on your second end phase after activation. Thing is about this entire combo, if you happen to use Resonant Destruction, most often Red Resonator's effect when it gets special summoned from the graveyard back on the field, it gets skipped because there are so many things activating at the same time. The chain is so large, it basically just does not allow Red Resonator to have its effect activated. So if you bear in mind that if you use this card, the only downside to it is that you're not gonna get LP, but instead you will get to destroy 2 monsters on your opponent's side of the field, because you use Resonator twice to synchro summon into Red Dragon Archfiend, which makes this combo so sweet. Other cards we have a couple of synchro cards which are pretty good. Shooting Star works well because I have 2 Stardust cards in my deck, so anytime I have either one or the other and I have this card, I can activate it and I can target one card on the field and destroy it. And I also have Stardust Respark, which means if an opponent special summons a monster and declares a direct attack, if its attack is greater than my life points, I can negate it, I can draw one card, and then I can special summon a Stardust monster from my extra deck or graveyard, which is pretty insane. Other support cards I have is Miracle Wake. This helps me keep my front row pretty much alive, so I can manage to get 2 monsters off and start my synchros. I have Floodgate Trap Hole, which is an amazing trap hole and nothing else to be said. I also have a Shapeshifter. This also helps me in case my opponent has a counter, so I cannot use my red Resonator. I can use Shapeshifter and at least try and synchro into Red Dragon or Stardust Spark Dragon with one of my other monsters. I have Half Counter because it's another super good trap card. It's if my monster is being attacked, I can target the monster I control. I can get attack equal to half the original attack with the attacking monster. So basically, the attacking monster loses half its attack and it gives it to my monster. So it's pretty good. I choose to use this instead of a Sakuretsu armor because at the same time I can inflict LP damage to my opponent and not just simply destroy it. I also have a Synchro Boost to help me Synchro Summon just a bit higher, so most of the case, if I do not use Red Resonator, I'm gonna use Dark Resonator, which means 3 and 4 makes 4-7, but what I want is either my 2 dragons, so that's when Synchro Boost comes in handy. Other cards, Power of the Guardians. This is an amazing spell card, as I'm sure you know. It works great with Legendary Fiend, a card that if it does not get destroyed, and Power of the Guardians helps with that, gets attack increase every standby phase. Along with this, basically gets 1200 attack every turn. Yeah, every turn is more correctly right. I got 2 Nightmare Penguins that help return monsters back from the field to, well, not just monsters, just any card. Basically works like a giant Trunade, but for 1 card. Or if my opponent summons a nasty monster on the first turn, I can just return it back into the hand. It's really good. It's really good. I have a Mystic Tomato. This card, once it's destroyed, lets me summon either a Dark Resonator or a Legendary Fiend, depending on the situation. I have Wandering King Wildwind. This is another amazing card that I definitely recommend you use in tandem with the Resonators, because if you have a Fiend type tuner with 1500 or less attack on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and when this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it and special summon another Fiend type tuner from your graveyard. Actually, no, I'm mistaken. You cannot special summon, but you get to add 1 Fiend type tuner from your deck to your hand, which is amazing. We have Junk Giant, again another super good card that if my opponent controls a level 5 or higher monster, I can special summon this card from my hand, which is usually the case in PvP matches. Rarely there's an opponent where he doesn't have a big monster on the field, so this 8 out of 10 times comes in handy. And we also have Interplanetary Thorny Dragon, or God, has a weird name. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle card effect and set to graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, super helpful when I'm trying to buckle down and defend myself while waiting for my cards to show up. Because when a monster is destroyed, I can instantly replace that monster with this one, and also has a lot higher attack, so of course it makes for a good defense. So this is and also another good addition to this deck, and why this deck is weird. It's not a standard archetype, but it is a good solid deck, and it's also Amazoness Swordswoman is also one of the reasons why, because it's a level 4 monster. I can easily use it to summon my bigger synchros, and of course your opponent takes all damage that you would have taken from a battle involved with this card. So needless to say, I just had a duel where my opponent summoned Cyber Darkness Dragon. He used the Blue Eyes Fusion monster with 4,500 attack as an equipped card to that Cyber Darkness Dragon, and he had an attack power of 6,000. He didn't manage to kill me, to OTK me, so of course I just summoned Amazoness Swordswoman. I attacked his monster, and he took like 4,500 damage to his LP, and I won the duel. So yeah, this card is pretty amazing. Of course you can modify this. It doesn't have to be exactly like I have it. It's just I've played around 30 duels today already, and this is literally the best combination of cards that I can come up with that actually works like this. Just to make one thing clear, I used this deck in the first 3 or 4 duel examples that I'm going to show you guys with Yusei Fudo. It worked on him too, but when I realized that I'm not really getting anything out of his skills, you know, I decided to swap characters. So I decided to play it on Yugi instead, because at the time I did not have Destiny Draw available to me. Turns out the first duel that I dueled with this deck using Yugi, I finally got Destiny Draw. Of course I use Destiny Draw right now, and it just makes the deck even that much great, because when you lose 2,000 life points, you can activate Destiny Draw and you can select one card from your deck, any card that you want, instead of your regular normal draw. So of course you can pick any one of these cards that you need to start going the combo running, getting the combo. One thing, maybe if I could change one thing, and maybe I'm not sure, but it's personal preferences, you can add one more Wandering King Wildwind instead of maybe a Nightmare Penguin, or maybe the dragon, or maybe Legendary Fiend. But right now I just think that this is the best combination, because of course your opponent will have different types of decks himself that he can use to wipe your board, wipe your back row, wipe your front row, and stuff like that. So you can summon a powerful monster. He can use a floodgate too, and it will, of course, it will impede your strategy. So then you have to have backup strategies. So for example, like I said, Legendary Fiend in combination with Power of Guardians makes for another good strategy, for another awesome monster with high attack. Just a bigger damage synchro, Samurai Destroyer, using your trap cards, using Parallel Twister to get rid of pesky cards on the field and stuff like that. But of course you can use two Wandering King Wildwinds. This will definitely increase your chances of getting more monsters on the field at once. You can start using synchros, but I personally prefer to use 2 Nightmare Penguins because of the awesome flip effect that it has. It's definitely useful. So this is the deck. Of course it doesn't have any OTK potential. You're not gonna be able to win in one turn if your opponent has 4,000 life points. It's definitely a deck revolved more around the fact that you get your monsters out and somehow defend yourself or resummon them in order to win your duel in 2 turns instead of 1. Of course, there are certain situations where if your opponent uses spells or traps that he has to pay life points in order to activate some cards they have, and at that moment, of course, you can maybe OTK him if you have enough attack damage. But more often than not, I found out that when I got my combo going and my opponent was stuck, he used all of his cards and he had no cards in his hand, and I got my combo going. He would either surrender or just it would take one or two more rounds, and I would win the duel either way. But nonetheless, I can show you guys in the examples. I have about 5 or 6 fights lined up for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoy.